I think that one of the mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of marketers make when they think about the offer is they only think about what I would describe as trying to create an irresistible proposition, meaning they're thinking about things like price and terms and bonuses and, risk reversal and that sort of stuff. And that is critical. But what is also critical is having an extremely attractive solution and which meets the criteria that you just described. And I think that what a lot of marketers don't understand is that if you have an unattractive solution, one that, let's say, appears to be difficult, tedious, time-consuming, slow, even with an irresistible proposition, you're still going to get a tremendous amount of resistance because, right, even if you gave away a garbage solution that was slow and tedious and difficult, even if you gave it away for free, right, there are going to be a lot of people that don't even want it because they're not willing to do that work, that effort, wait that time for the result. And so you really, to create a rock solid offer, you need both. And I would say in total alignment with what it is that you just said, you really need to start first with, let me design, create an attractive solution, and then wrap it and present it with an irresistible proposition.
I dedicated several chapters to this in a book. My essential message was so many marketers are trying to get a yes, and not enough marketers are trying to avoid getting a no. And getting a yes is, let me try and give you this bonus, that bonus, the other bonus. And they're trying to wrap it all up and turn it into this $27,000 offer that you can get for $49. When in actual fact, what they need to be thinking about a lot more is, what are all the reasons why someone is going to say no to this? And creating an offer that's designed to not get a no. When I was working with Halbert, his whole thing was, forget about trying to succeed, but spend a tremendous amount of time on trying not to fail. And because if you eliminate systematically all of the potential reasons, or as many of the potential reasons as you possibly can for why you would fail, that's what's going to skyrocket your chances of success. But if you're constantly trying to succeed, you'll come up with harebrained ideas. You will take a gamble on certain things. You'll risk things. You'll cut corners, and you have a much, as strange as it sounds, you have a much higher likelihood of failure when you try to succeed, and you have a much higher likelihood of success when you try to avoid failing. Why would someone say no? They would say no to this because they can't create their own ads, because they can't do their own traffic, because they can't create, their own websites, because they can't integrate this tool with that tool. And I try and come up with all of these solutions to all of these problems. Therefore, when I deliver my offer, I'm systematically overcoming all of these objections as the person moves through the offer, leaving the only possible answer, hopefully, when it goes right, leaving the only possible answer on the table to be, I just can't say no to this. Yes is the answer. I think that so many more marketers would have so much more success if they took that approach.
Yeah, that is worth its weight in gold. In preparation for our time together, I got it and I went through it. The entire book. I believe this is one of the most valuable books published over the last handful of years, for sure. It's absolutely just what you just said is absolute money, man. I love it.
Awesome. By the way, if you're enjoying the show here, just a quick reminder to press the like button, subscribe to this channel for more useful monetization tips, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss all of the great tips, tactics, strategies, and ideas that are coming your way in future episodes. And thank you for sharing this episode with your friends and colleagues. I really appreciate it. I'm always interested in talking with master sales funnel marketers like yourself, and I'm always interested in the thinking process that goes into the actual upsell path itself. Kind of walk me through how you put together upsells in your funnel.
Yeah. So first, one of the savviest kind of ways for marketers to think about customer acquisition is to really just recognize that we're investors, right? We're investors just like equity investors, just like real estate investors. We're investing in the acquisition of assets. For us, those assets happen to be customers, right? For an equity investor, it's stocks. For a real estate investor, it's property, right? And ultimately, those assets that we're acquiring, there is a cost to acquire that asset, just like there's a cost to acquire an equity, just like there's a cost to acquire a property. There's also a value of that asset, of that customer, right? That we get back on day zero, the day that they become a customer. And then there is a future value of that asset, similar to the way when somebody invests in an equity, they're buying a share of stock at X price. That's the cost. They get X dollars of value back, which happens to be the same, the share price. And then they have an expectation of that stock going up in the future, right? And so I think first and foremost to recognize that, like, I make all of my decisions when it comes to our marketing as an investor. Ultimately, I'm looking to acquire a buyer that is worth more to me than what it cost me to acquire that buyer. We're obviously looking to bring back in as much revenue as quickly as we possibly can to offset our acquisition costs. But I also understand the fact that we're investing in assets that have a future value. And so I am willing to look at the value of the customer beyond just the front end campaign, beyond just that initial campaign that we're using to acquire them. I think that a lot of marketers, Caleb, I think they calculate things like cost per acquisition and average order value, and they calculate those numbers based solely on that first campaign that they use. And they don't recognize that every time they expose another marketing message, another marketing funnel to a prospect, and they turn more prospects into buyers, they're lowering their cost per acquisition, right? And they're obviously, they're lowering their cost on the acquisition side, and they're bringing in more money, whether that is the second campaign or the third campaign or the fourth campaign or the fifth campaign. Every time they put out a new marketing funnel in front of those prospects that they originally paid for, and they turn more of those prospects into buyers, they're lowering their initial cost per acquisition. And I point that out because, right, and you're so amazing at this. This is really kind of, I think that you are one of the best educators in the world at this. I think there's this weird pride that a lot of marketers think that there's a reward for, like, there's some sort of reward if I do that from one funnel. If I'm able to, spend $1 and make back $1, or spend $100, make back 100, spend 1,000, make back 1,000, like that the reward comes from being able to do that with a single marketing campaign. And I don't care whether that happens through a single marketing campaign or 2 or 3 or 4. At the end of the day, I'm an investor. And so I'm simply trying to acquire these assets and make them worth more to me than what it is that it's costing me to get them. As it relates to maximizing transaction value, this is where we primarily rely on the very straightforward things like, bumps, upsells, downsells. We use second chance offers, and whatnot. And the way that I think about those things are, I tend to think about what they would need once they bought X product and now they've solved this problem, and now it's ultimately going to lead to this roadblock or this next step or this next need. How can I give them that through the upsell or the downsell? And so usually I try to keep everything as connected as I possibly can, so that it's ultimately leading them to one singular, big, gigantic outcome, right? So the first thing is solving one thing. The next thing is solving the next thing in their journey. The next thing is solving the next thing needed in their journey. That's typically the way that I approach the bumps, upsells, downsells, that sort of thing. Sometimes if we are starting with a product, and we realize that the product, let's say, is missing something in terms of maybe what you said, where there's an objection, there's a reason why somebody would say no to this, there's a gap in the offer, we'll fill that gap sometimes with a bump or with an upsell more often than not, we're going back and we're just adding it into the core product. But sometimes we're a little bit lazy and we'll use those things as the bump, the upsell, the downsell.
So if you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to benefit from more monetization secrets, go and register now for Monetization Daily. You can go to monetizationresearch.com to get it. It is a free newsletter that is absolutely awesome. It is delivered to your email inbox and it contains lots of great monetization tips, tactics, and strategies that you will love. Again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com to get it now.